So there are three different responses to a request that you can get. The first one is acceptance. Now, most of us make requests with the expectation that they're going to be accepted. That's why we make them. So generally, we are expecting people to accept them. But that's only one possible legitimate response to a request. Another response is a decline. And declines will occur in two different ways. So one form of a decline is a straight, outright, no, I'm not going to do that. So that's an overt decline of the request. You generally, particularly in the Midwest, you don't hear many of those. People generally don't come right out and say, no, I'm not going to do that. They'll come out with, well, I'll think about it, I'll see what I can do for you, give me some time. There's lots of ways that people put it off without ever saying no. And it ends up not getting done, which has the effect of saying no, but isn't as straight as saying no. We call that saying yes but doing no. How many of you have to-do lists, manage some kind of to-do list? You keep track of all the stuff? How many? So keep your hands up for a minute. So you can look around, you can see almost everybody's got a to-do list. Now we'll get into the truth telling. How many of you got stuff on the to-do list? You got items on there, been on there a long time. And how many of you got stuff on that to-do list you know is not going to get done? That's this. That's a saying yes and doing no. That's a decline without coming right out and saying, I'm not going to do that. And then if I get asked about it, I can always say, you know, I haven't gotten to that yet. It's on my list. I'll get to it. I just haven't gotten to it yet. The other form is counteroffer. And a counteroffer is any counterproposal. Can you have this for me by Friday? No, I can't have it for you by Friday. I can have it for you by Tuesday. Can you have it by 5 o'clock? No, I can't have it by 5 o'clock. I can have it by 3 o'clock. So counteroffer is any kind of counterproposal to what you've been asked to do. I had a student in my Mastery and Execution class, and he had never, he was from the Dominican Republic, and he didn't know you could counteroffer. He thought that was really interesting. I never heard that you could counteroffer a request. And so he took on, as an experiment, counteroffering the requests he got. And he learned this rather interesting thing. First of all, he said, I now never accept any request without counteroffering it. And so he counteroffers every request, and he found out that generally the people who are asking for stuff don't really know when they want it, or aren't really committed to having it by a particular day. So he could counteroffer for a different day, so it worked in nicely to his schedule, as compared to being at the effect of everybody else's schedule. So counteroffering becomes a viable way of doing things. Now, one thing about decline. People who don't feel free to say no to your face will say no by not doing it. So one of the things that becomes if you track people who are saying no, in my Mastery of Execution class, one of the things that people track is they keep track of every single agreement they make, and they do that for 10 weeks. They keep track of every agreement they make plus every agreement that's made to them. And one of the things that they begin to discover is that there are certain people who are saying no without saying no, and they can then clean it up. You find out that there are people, there's a particular pattern. The other thing that's interesting is that they find various ways in which people are saying no to them, and they can start breaking up the code for what really constitutes a no, but doesn't come out and say no. A promise is you're actually agreeing to what was asked in the request. So even if whenever you just say yes, like somebody asks, will you pick up a pizza on the way home from work for Patty's slumber party? And you say, sure. What you're saying is, yes, I will pick up the pizza on the way home. I will approve your proposal for Friday, and I will update you on the status. Those are all promises. Those are all agreements. And that's what somebody's held accountable for. If you hold someone accountable for something that's not specified, they will get upset. They may get upset, as Joe pointed out, even if you hold them accountable for what they did agree to, but that creates a different dynamic altogether.